Hi, and thanks for watching. I'm John Mayos. We have a very exciting program. Today, my guest is an entrepreneur, an author, very successful businessman, and has been on television for years. He's here today to discuss his revolutionary, groundbreaking book called Ask More, Get More. The strategies and techniques in his book have made him millions and can work for you. He claims the techniques in his book will make you money, save you money, and ultimately give you the financial freedom you've been looking for. Please help me welcome Michael Alden. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, John. I'm really, really excited to be here. Again, I'm probably more excited today than I have been really about anything in a very long time. My book, Ask More, Get More, is going to change people's lives.
Mike, you talk about changing people's lives, and clearly you're a success, but you didn't just kind of become a success overnight. You must have an awful lot in your background that kind of prepared you for this. Tell us about your upbringing a little bit.
You know, John, you bring up a good point, and I think that's real important. You know, I grew up very, very poor. I grew up with a single mother and state housing. I remember when I was a kid, the Salvation Army delivered Thanksgiving dinner to my home, or the Salvation Army also delivered Christmas gifts, you know, during Christmas time. I remember what it was like to be that kid in elementary school, middle school, high school, and I had to stand in a separate line because my lunch was subsidized by the state. You know, I remember what it was like waking up in the morning and there was no milk in the refrigerator for breakfast. And John, again, it was a very, very difficult way to grow up. I was surrounded by crime, violence, drugs. Again, it was very, very difficult. But I tell you, I thank God for the way I grew up, because if I had grown up any other way, we wouldn't be here to talk about my book, again, that's really going to change people's lives.
You talk about changing people's lives, and I think anybody watching today probably has that in them. They want to do something a little different to make themselves just that little bit better.
You know, a lot of people ask me, you asked me earlier, you said, Mike, you know, why'd you write the book? A lot of people said, Mike, what's the point? You know, you've made millions, you're running a company, you have companies all over the world. You know, why would you write this book? Why bother? And the reason why is because, again, we talked about this earlier, but I've had family members that come up to me, family members that have, you know, been addicted to drugs, that have been in prison, okay, that, you know, in and out of prison. They've asked me, say, Mike, you know, what makes you different? You know, we grew up together, we're in the same, you know, same household, the same area. Why are you so different? You know, and I said, you know, I started thinking about it, and I started writing things down. And so I said, look, I tell you what, I'm going to write this book, and I'm going to teach you the strategies and techniques that I've done, that I was fortunate to learn, and really strategies and techniques that I was really almost forced to learn. Because, again, because I grew up, I had no money. The key thing that I learned, John, here's the key thing, is I'm no different than anybody else. I'm no different than my family members, the people that I was surrounded with, and again, they're in prison or they were addicted to drugs. I'm no different than them. What I learned at a very, very early age is we all have the skills within us. Every single person, whether you're in the United States, whether you're anywhere in the world, whether you're born into poverty or whether you're born into, you know, royalty, it doesn't matter. We all have the same skills. And what I teach in my book are simple, easy, and effective strategies that you can use, anybody can use to become successful.
You say simple and easy, but Michael, I don't know about anybody who's successful who's actually done it through simple, easy strategies. Is that real?
You know, we talked about this in the green room earlier. You see all these programs on TV, how to buy and sell real estate, how to buy and sell, stocks. Okay, that's a big one, how to buy and sell stocks. You know, how to buy and sell things on eBay, how to make money on the internet. Okay, look, buying and selling real estate is not simple. Buying and selling stock is not simple. It's just a fact. It's not simple. Now, there may be some easy strategies like, hey, buy low, sell high. Okay, that's easy to understand or easy to do. Okay, I bought it at $10, I'm going to sell it at $20. That's easy to do. But to understand the principles behind the stock market, okay, the stock market is this big, gigantic thing that nobody understands. That's not simple. The strategies in my book are simple, easy, and effective. Whether you're 6 years old or whether you're 106 years old, anybody can do it.
You talk about a lot of different things, not just the stock market or real estate, but even things that we can do on a daily basis to save money. What are some of those things?
I'll give you an example, okay? Again, right now, we are in the worst economic state in the history of the world. The United States is a mess. Everyone's in debt. It's really sad what's going on. John, did you realize that the average American household, okay, their debt-to-income ratio is 136%. In other words, the average American household has $114,000 in debt. Okay, they don't know what to do with it. Again, $114,000 in debt. I have simple strategies and techniques in my book that teach people how to get out of the debt, how to reduce the debt, and in many circumstances, to eliminate it almost instantly. You know, when you talk about debt, okay, look, the debt-to-income ratio right now in the United States, the highest percentage of the debt-to-income ratio is in lower income and lower middle class people. In other words, the poor are always going to be poor because the big financial institutions, the banks, they charge them more money. I have a story in my book, Sarah, okay? Sarah had $33,000 in debt. She applied the principles in my book, okay? She applied them. The debt was eliminated. I have another story. Another woman had $53,000 in debt, eliminated. Another person, $20,000 in medical bills. Medical bills. The medical costs are on the rise. $20,000 in medical debt, eliminated, gone. Okay, the strategies and techniques in my book, they work for anybody in any situation.
I'll tell you, even for somebody who's not in debt, it sounds like getting your book is going to be an important way to change their life. Make more, get more. It sounds easy. And it sounds simple.
Well, it is, and that's the thing. And we talked about this earlier. Again, there's a difference between being simple and easy. This is both, okay? The strategies in my book are realistic, and I really need people to understand that. Anybody, again, whether you barely graduated high school, whether you didn't graduate high school, whether you're 60, if you can read, John, okay? If you can read, and by the way, I actually have an audiobook, and so if you can't read, okay, if you can't read, okay, the strategies and techniques in my book, in my audiobook, they'll work for you as well. The strategies work for anybody in any situation, and that's the thing that's really, really important because people, again, they're disenfranchised. They don't know what to do. I mean, what are you going to do when the economy ultimately collapses? You know, we talk about how you know, just recently the economy collapsed beyond what the Great Depression was like. Well, we're in the Great Depression right now. You just don't see it, okay? We're actually in the Great Depression right now, much worse than what happened in 1929, and it's probably going to get worse. So what are you going to do? You need to take responsibility for yourself. And that's what I teach people to do in the book. Take what you currently have, resources that you have within yourself, not necessarily tangible things, money or anything like that. I teach you how to take what you have. The biggest resource that every human being has, and what is that? That's themselves. I teach them to take themselves and turn themselves around, again, almost instantly. The strategies and techniques in this book work for everybody in every situation.
Not a lot of people own property. I'm sure that many people rent on a regular basis. Can these strategies apply to them?
That's a great point. You know, we talked about this earlier, you know, buying and selling real estate, okay? You know, the two biggest things that people buy, most people in the United States, is either a car or house. But there are a lot of renters out there, okay? You know, I didn't buy my first house until a couple years ago. And so I have strategies and techniques, for instance, electricity, okay? Did you realize that the average electric bill is $175 a month? I have strategies and techniques in my book that anybody can do, again, whether you're a renter or whether you own your home, where you can save anywhere between 20 and 50% off of your electric bill. This is, again, simple, easy things that people can do. They're not complex, and they're right in the book. It takes you a few minutes to really understand how they work, and once you apply them, John, it's almost magical.
Well, you're saying I can save money on my electric bill? I mean, I don't know about you, but I get a bill in the mail every month, and it just tells me the amount that I have to pay. You know, how am I going to save money on that?
You know, it's funny. I talk about in the book the difference between paying for something and purchasing something. You know, when you pay for something like your electric bill or like food, okay, I believe that you pay for things that you need on a day-to-day basis just to sustain life, you know, in a normal economy or in a normal society, okay? You purchase things that you want, like a car or, you know, maybe, you know, a nice watch or things like that. When people pay for things like their electric bill or like food, like you said, they just pay for them. They have no idea that they can actually reduce the amount on a month-to-month basis and save them tens of thousands of dollars. John, food, we talked about food, right? Okay, I have, look, the average household, okay, a family of four, just the average, this is a range, between $123 and $238 a week. That's what people spend on groceries. And guess what? It's continuing to rise, and you know what isn't rising? Their income. So the food is continuing, the price of food is continuing to rise, but their income isn't. I have strategies in my book where you can get your food that you feed your family with for free. Absolutely free.
Now, there are a lot of bills that I have on a monthly basis, not just electricity. I've got my water bill, my cable, I've got my cell phone. Will those strategies apply to those as well?
Absolutely. You know, I want to tell you a story. I have a friend of mine. He came up to me a couple of days ago and he said, Mike, I applied the technique that you told me. And he kind of caught me off guard. I was in my office. I looked to my right. I said, well, what are you talking about? What technique? What are you talking about? He says, I applied the technique. And I looked at him again. I said, what technique? So then he told me the technique that he used in the book. I said, tell me the story. He said, Mike, I applied the technique. Not only was it simple and easy, but I saved $40 a month, and I got more channels. This is cable. I got more channels than I really even needed. But he also got the cable company to give him $300 in gift cards. Now, John, I couldn't say this on TV if it wasn't true. Okay, this is again, $500 a year he saved. Plus he got the cable company to give him $300 in gift cards. Simple strategies and techniques in my book that people don't even know about that can be done every single day to save them money and make them money.
Some people out there are probably trying to decide whether or not to buy right now. Is there any advantage to buying now or maybe waiting for a while? Are these strategies going to change? Should I do this now or can I wait? You
know, that's a funny thing. I say this in my book. I talk about procrastination, John, okay, is the failure disease. People always say, you know, if I had only bought this at that price, if I only bought real estate when the market was depressed. Well, guess what? The market is depressed. So look, if you have a decision that you need to make that decision. I teach you simple strategies and techniques on how to come to that decision as well. Because a lot of people have trouble, you know, just making that decision. You know, look, the light isn't always going to be green. In fact, it's never going to be green. But you need to make that decision, and when you make that decision, I teach you, again, ways to make the decision and make you feel good about it. And look, sometimes you make a decision and it's not really the right decision, but then I teach you ways to learn from that decision. You know, people always talk about failure, right? People are always afraid to fail. Failure to me is like a learning experience. I've never failed at anything, okay? I've been defeated multiple times, but I've never failed at anything.
How do people get this book?
In my book, Ask More, Get More, How to Earn More, Save More, Live More just by asking. Folks, again, this book is not one of those money-making systems that only works for a small percentage of people. Again, this isn't buying and selling real estate or making money on the internet. This isn't, you know, buying and selling things on eBay. You're not going to see a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen that says results not typical. Again, my book, Ask More, Get More, shows you how to take what you currently have in your life, the resources that pretty much every American, every human being has, and turn those resources into wealth and ultimately financial freedom. Folks, the call is free, the book is 100% guaranteed, and the techniques have been used for hundreds, again, if not thousands of years by some of the most successful people in history. Again, these are not my techniques. These are techniques that I was taught, and I've used them to make millions of dollars in the worst economic state in the history of the world. These techniques will work for anyone in any situation, and they'll change your life. And the best thing, John, again, is they're simple, they're easy, and they're effective. Oh, and the one thing, we haven't really talked about this yet, but the one thing you're actually going to get when you do call in, you're actually going to get my special report, Reduce Debt Now. It's absolutely free with your order. What I've done is, John, is I've actually gone out, I've done the research, and I teach you how to eliminate and reduce your debt. Again, it's absolutely free. You get this free with your order, and folks, this in and of itself is priceless. So again, pick up the phone and give us a call.
If I get your book, I think I will get your book, open it up to any page, am I going to take and be able to take and convert that into something right away?
Absolutely, John. The second you pick up my book, no matter what page you turn it to, but I will say this, you should start from the beginning and read it to the end because you're going to get more out of it. But if you just happen to open it up in the middle of the book, yeah, you're going to learn strategies and techniques that, again, anybody can do, and they work instantly. You're not going to see on the bottom of the screen, it's not going to say results not typical with these big giant disclaimers, because the fact is, the strategies and techniques in my book have been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years by some of the most successful people in the world, and they work. And the other thing too, John, is they're realistic. Okay, buying and selling real estate is not realistic for someone who can barely, scrape up enough money to actually pick up the phone and buy the book, okay? If you pick up the phone and buy the book and it's difficult for you to do that, as far as a real estate book, I'd say pick up the phone and buy my book because you are going to get 1,000,000 times over what it's actually worth.
You talk about some of the bigger purchases and all, but most of my daily purchases are the grocery store or the drug store, things like that. Are there techniques and strategies that I can use from the book for those type of purchases?
Absolutely. I want to give you an example, and that's a great point, but I want you to hear this story. I had a friend of mine. He's living comfortably, he has a nice house, a nice family, a nice car, and he said, Mike, tell me one of your strategies and techniques. I said, okay. I told him the strategy and technique. He had some gold that he was going to sell to the jeweler, okay? These strategies and techniques work when you're buying, selling, and anything in your daily life. But anyway, he was selling his jewelry. So he goes to the jeweler, gives him the gold, and they gave him basically the weight value of the gold. He used this one technique, and then he didn't say anything else, and the jeweler gave him an extra $25, okay? Now, he's a well-off individual. Now, the $25 doesn't seem like a lot of money, okay? I have strategies and techniques in my book where you can take that $25, okay, take that $25 and turn it into $7,225. Okay, so that savings of $25 is really like making over $7,000. And John, these strategies, they're proven, they're effective, and they work. If I could show you a way to turn $25 into $7,225, that would be worth it, wouldn't it?
It'd be worth it to me.
Yeah, I mean, it works. And again, these are real. You know why? You know how I know they work, John? Because I've done them. Again, when we talk about real estate and buying and selling things, I'm not going to teach you how to buy and sell real estate as far as like flipping properties. But, okay, I have a chapter in my book, or I have some sections in my book where I do talk about real estate and how to buy and sell real estate for yourself. There are simple, easy strategies and techniques that I've done, okay, and that thousands of people do every single day that can save you tens of thousands of dollars just by following these simple strategies and techniques. John, and if you don't do them, you're really losing out.
Well, there are a lot of things that I just want to ask you about. I think to myself about all the different things that I do, whether it's going to the restaurant or paying taxes. Will these strategies work with things like taxes? I can't imagine.
John, that's a great question. This book is almost like a guide to your daily life. It actually does both. I have a section in my book that teaches people how to reduce their tax burden and also never get into a situation where you owe taxes. The tax code is gigantic, right? People don't know what to do it, okay? The debt crisis is gigantic. We don't have enough space in the studio to actually to take all the paper for the size of the tax code. But I have simple strategies and techniques in my book that teach you how to reduce your tax burden and in many instances eliminated, okay? The government is just like any other entity when you're discussing with them, when you talk about negotiation, okay? There are strategies and techniques that work for the government or they work for, your average retailer. They work in every instance.
You talk about these working in these depressed economic times. Will these techniques and strategies work when the economy is turned around?
Well, you said the term working, okay? Right now in the United States, okay, depending on the time or the day, okay, but you hear the unemployment might be getting a little bit better, or you hear it's only right around 9%. But the real number, John, is over 16% of the American public is unemployed. And what do I mean by that? Well, the government doesn't like to talk about things like people have actually their benefits have actually expired, okay? So they have nothing. They have nowhere to turn. They don't have a job, or the people that are underemployed. It's really more like 16% of the American public are actually unemployed, okay? I teach strategies and techniques in my book, whether you have a job, okay, or whether you don't have a job. It really gives them an unfair advantage over everyone else, okay? And if you do have a job, I teach you strategies and techniques on how to increase your compensation over time or almost instantly. I want to tell you a story. My father, he's 61 years old, okay? He's a machinist. He's been working his whole life. And he came to me and he said, Mike, I'm really concerned about my job. People all around him are being laid off. His company was bought out by a foreign company, doesn't know what to do. Again, he's been at this job for almost 10 years. And by the way, he was thinking maybe I'll retire. He doesn't have a retirement fund, okay? The only thing he has to fall back on is Social Security. And we all know what's going to happen to Social Security. At some point, that will probably go away as well, right? So I said, listen, Dad, I have a couple strategies and techniques in my book that if you follow, I will guarantee you that you will increase your compensation in this current economy. In the current economy, in his own environment. In other words, 25% of my dad's company were just laid off.
Wow.
So I said to him, listen, you go ahead and apply these strategies and techniques. Now, he's 61 years old. He's kind of set in his ways. He resisted it a little bit. John, he applied just one simple strategy in my book. He came to me and said, Mike, you wouldn't believe what happened. And of course I knew what happened. But he told me the story. He said, Mike, everyone's being laid off, but we just brought in a new director of operations. The new director of operations, he's now asking me for advice. He's bringing me into meetings. And I said, Dad, that's going to pay off. It's going to pay off more and more and more. Every day that goes by, my father is going to be worth more money to that company than he ever imagined.
Mike, how's somebody going to get your book?
My book, Ask More, Get More, how to earn more, save more, and ultimately live more just by asking. Again, folks, this book isn't another one of those money-making systems that only works for a small percentage of people. It isn't buying and selling real estate or making money in the internet or buying and selling things on eBay. You're not going to see a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen that says results not typical. Again, my book, Ask More, Get More, shows you how to take what you currently have in your life, the resources that pretty much every American has, and how to turn those resources into wealth and ultimately financial freedom. Folks, the call is free, the book is 100% guaranteed, and the techniques have been used for hundreds, again, if not thousands of years by some of the most successful people in history. These techniques are not my techniques. These are techniques that I was taught and that I've used to make millions of dollars in the worst economic state in the history of the world. These techniques, again, will work for anyone in any situation, and they'll change your life. And the best thing about them, John, is that they're simple, they're easy, and they're effective. Oh, and we actually did touch upon this as well. When you do call in, you're actually going to get my Reduce Debt Now special report. You actually get this absolutely free with your order. What I've done is, I've actually gone on, I've done the research, and I've talked to a lot of different people within the different industries in the debt settlement world, debt reduction world, bankruptcy, whatever it is. I've talked to them, and what I've done is I teach you strategies and techniques in this pamphlet. You get it absolutely free with the order on how to reduce your debt and even eliminate it in certain circumstances. You get it absolutely free with the order. Again, just this alone, John, is priceless. So pick up the phone and give us a call.
So any age person can benefit from these strategies, whether it's in the employment situation, the buying and selling of real estate. Granted, not everybody does that, but maybe someday they will. But everything you're talking about seems to get down to one thing, and that's an attitude, or at least it's part of it.
Well, that's an important part of it. When we talk about attitude, okay, people always say, maintain a positive attitude. Okay, that's not it. Okay, look, I'm a very positive person. It's more than just maintaining a positive attitude. That's a part of it. Okay, and here's the one thing that really concerns me. We talk about this in the book. I have one chapter in the book called Excusology. Okay, people are always making excuses, and one of the biggest ones is age. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm not smart enough. Okay, look, we were talking again in the green room. You said a lot of people make excuses, right? And I said, I was telling you the story. I said, I just want you to imagine. I want you to imagine for a second what society would be like if an infant just decided at some point not to walk anymore. You see, every able-bodied child at some point walks, and some take longer than others, right? Look, at some point they walk. Now, they have no idea. They can't conceptualize how to make an excuse. It's not in our DNA. It's not in our makeup. It's in our makeup to actually become successful, to get up and walk. But I want you to think about what society would be like if that child, after a few times, said, it's difficult. I banged my head a couple times. I bruised my leg a couple times. I can still get to the same place I need to by crawling. It might take me a little bit longer, but I'm just not going to walk anymore. Imagine what society would be like. It would be a mess. It's not in our nature to make excuses. It's just not. At some point along the line, whether it be society, whether it be where you grew up, and unfortunately, whether it be your parents, okay, you make excuses for yourself. All right, I teach you how to not make excuses and just basically take responsibility for your own life. Just by doing this one simple thing, by doing this one simple technique, it will change your life. You'd asked earlier, is it about money? It's not always about money. This book isn't always about money. Ask More, Get More is not about money. It's ask more get more out of life.
Equally for men and women?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't really matter, men and women. When you talk about the disparity between men and women, as far as, women are always reach the ceiling. And when you look at the statistics, men are always making more money. Why is that? Well, look, there's a lot of reasons why, but I teach anybody and everybody how to change the way you think. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter. Race, religion, it doesn't really matter. The strategies and techniques have been used for thousands of years by all different races, by all different nationalities. Whether you're male or female, it doesn't really matter. They're simple, they're easy, and they're effective.
Can I use this for going on vacation? I know you go out and look at the internet and find the best price for an airline or something like that. Will this help me in vacation planning?
That's actually a great point. Did you realize the average, this is the average cost of a vacation for a family of 4 is $4,000. That's just the average. I teach strategies and techniques in my book where you can go on vacation with your entire family for free. Day-to-day things we talked about earlier, okay? I brought my car in for service. I used one phrase. Now, here's the other thing that people need to understand. When you're going out and buying something from anybody, okay, and especially in the big box retailer type situations, these people are highly trained and highly skilled professionals. Don't think for a second that they're not, okay? Because they're taught a lot of different things, and the most important thing that they're taught is to sell you the most amount of their product for the most amount of money and make you feel good about it. Okay, so I used my one technique when I brought my car in for service. He gave me the price. I used my technique. They took $200 off the price. Now, look, $200. It's a lot of money. Some people it is, some people it isn't. But here's the one thing I want you to understand. If you take that $200, I have a strategy in my book. If you take that $200, I can turn that $200 into $50,000. So that savings is like making $50,000. It doesn't seem real. Folks, I couldn't say it on TV if it wasn't real. These strategies, they work for anybody in any situation. And that's the one thing people need to understand. This is the reason why, again, when you see these programs on TV, again, buying and selling real estate, buying and selling tax liens, buying and selling stock, okay? They're difficult. They don't work. That's why they're big, giant disclaimers, okay? They don't work for everybody. Less than 1/10 of 1% do these things work for. Yeah, sure, you see all the testimonials and things like that, but those testimonials took years to develop, okay? My book, the second you get it, the strategies in here for anybody in any situation will change their life.
How does someone get the book, Mike?
You know, John, again, like you mentioned, we're actually running out of time, but folks, again, this isn't another one of those, money-making systems that only works for a small percentage of people. This isn't buying and selling real estate or making money on the internet or buying and selling things on eBay. You're not going to see a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen that says results not typical. Folks, my book, Ask More, Get More, shows you how to take what you currently have in your life, the resources that pretty much every American has, and how to turn those resources into wealth and ultimately financial freedom. Folks, the call is absolutely free and the book is 100% guaranteed. The techniques have been used for hundreds, if not thousands of years by some of the most successful people in history. Again, these techniques are not my techniques. These are techniques that I was taught and I've used them to make millions of dollars in the worst economic state in the history of the world. These techniques will work for anyone in any situation and they'll change your life. And the best part, folks, is that they're simple, they're easy, and they're effective. Oh, and when you do call in, we talked about this as well. When you do call in, you're actually going to get my special report absolutely free with the order, Reduce Debt Now. Again, you get it absolutely free. What I've done is, I've gone on and I've done the research on how to reduce your debt and even eliminate it. You, folks, again, you get this absolutely free with the order. The information here is priceless. So pick up the phone and give us a call.
Mike, thanks for being my guest on the show today.
Thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
Folks, if you're looking for a way to become financially free without spending a lot of money or time, if you want to learn to take what you already have and turn it into your own personal fortune, then pick up the phone and give us a call. We have trained representatives that can answer all of your questions. Maybe you want to reduce or eliminate your debt. Maybe you're looking to buy a new car. Maybe you're looking for ways to save money. Pick up the phone and give us a call. The phone call is free. The book is only available through this special TV offer, and it's 100% guaranteed. So you have nothing to lose. Plus, when you do call within the next 2 minutes, you'll get free with your order, Reduce Debt Now. Mike has done all the work, and this guide gives you essentially a roadmap to reduce your debt and even eliminate it. So pick up the phone and give us a call. I'm John Mayos, and we'll see you next time.